Are you actually living your life or just following a script you accepted a long time ago? Most people don't realize that their life is not really a choice. It's a set of automatic decisions, expectations, and survival patterns. We choose our jobs, relationships, even our lifestyle not because it feels true, but because it feels safe, because it's familiar, because it's approved. And the hardest part is that from the inside, life can look completely normal. I lived like this for years too. I remember one very specific moment. Nothing dramatic was happening, no crisis, no breakdown. I was sitting alone, doing something completely ordinary. And suddenly, I had this clear thoughts. If this is my life, I don't feel it inside. Not unhappy, not desperate, just disconnected. Like I was playing my role well, but watching myself from the outside. And what scared me the most was not that something was wrong, it was that everything was right. I was productive, functional, strong, and yet I felt invisible to myself. That was the moment I realized how dangerous the script actually is. Because when life hurts, you question it. But when life feels acceptable, you tolerate it. And tolerance slowly replaces truth. That moment didn't change my life overnight, but it changed the way I listened to myself. I stopped asking, how do I fix this? And I started asking what I'm no longer honest about. That question followed me quietly for months, and little by little, my choices began to shift. Not because I was brave, but because pretending became heavier than the fear of change. I was doing the right things, moving forward, improving myself, checking all the boxes. And yet, somewhere inside, there was a quiet feeling that something wasn't mine. Not wrong, not dramatic, just not mine. And that feeling is very easy to ignore because it doesn't scream, it whispers. Most people don't lose themselves overnight, they lose themselves slowly. One compromise at a time, one it's fine at a time, one I will do what expected for now at a time. Until one day you wake up and realize you don't really know why you're living the life you're living. And that's the scariest moment. Not pain, not failure, not fear. The scariest moment is realizing that you stopped asking yourself real questions a long time ago. Questions like, what do I actually want? What feels alive to me? What feels true in my body, not just logically in my mind? Because when we stop asking questions, we start living on autopilot. Autopilot feels efficient, it feels stable, it feels responsible, but it's also where life slowly disappears. You function, you perform, you adapt. But you don't feel present inside your own existence. And here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people don't follow a script because they're weak. They follow a script because at some point it helped them to survive. Maybe you learned early that being yourself was unsafe, that being different meant rejection, that asking for more meant disappointment. So you adapted. You become who you needed to be. And that adaptation once saved you. But what saved you then might be sufficient for you now. The problem is we rarely update our inner script. We keep living according to the rules, written by fear, family expectations, society, or past version of ourselves that no longer exist. And over time, this creates a stranger inner split. On the outside, everything looks okay, but on the inside, there's a tension, restlessness, a quiet sense of being disconnected. People often call this burnout or boredom or depression, but very often is none of those. It's misalignment. It's the pain of living a life that no longer matches who you're becoming. So, how do you recognize whether you are truly living or just existing inside a boredom script? There are a few signs. One, you feel tired even when you rest. Not physically tiredness, existential tiredness. Like life itself feels heavy. Two, you achieve things, but they don't land inside you. There's no real satisfaction, just short relief followed by the next thing you should do. Three, you avoid silence. Because when things get quiet, questions start to surface, and you're not sure you're ready to hear the answers. Four, you constantly explain yourself to justify your choices, to prove that your life makes sense, usually to others, but mostly to yourself. If any of this resonates, I want you to know something important. There's nothing wrong with you. You're not broken. You're not ungrateful. You're not lost. You're simply outgrowing a version of your life. And outgrowing is uncomfortable because it means something has to be questioned, something has to be seen clearly, and something might need to change. There's where people must stop. Not because they can change, but because they're afraid of what they might lose: identity, approval, certainty. The script gives you a sense of control, even if it costs you authenticity. So what do you do if you realize you have been living someone else's version of life? You don't burn everything down. Just remember about it. You don't quit your job tomorrow. You don't destroy relationships. And you don't reinvent yourself overnight. That's another trap. Real change starts much quieter. It starts with honesty, with allowing yourself to notice what feels heavy and what feels alive, without immediately judging it, without rushing to fix it. Just noticing. Then you begin to ask better questions. Not what I should do, but what feels true for me right now. Not how do I become better? Everyone likes it. But where I'm betraying myself. Not what will people think, but what happens if I keep living like this for another 5 years? These questions are uncomfortable, but they are also grounding. They bring you back into contact with your own inner reality. And from that place, choices start to shift naturally. Not dramatically, but truthfully. You begin to make smaller, more honest decisions. You say no when you mean no. You stop forcing things that no longer fit. You allow yourself to change direction internally before doing it externally. This is what it means to wake up inside your own life. Not to have all the answers, but to be present enough to ask the right questions again. If this video made you uncomfortable, that's not a coincidence. Discomfort is often the first sign that something real has been touched. And you don't need to answer it right now. You don't need to plan Forget about it. And you don't need to change your life today. But what I want to leave you with one question. If nothing changes and you keep living exactly the way you are living now, where will this script take you in 5 years? Sit with that question. Don't rush to silence it. Don't explain it away. Because the moment you stop numbing yourself and start listening honestly, you're no longer asleep. And that is where real life begins.